And I almost like dropped my jaw because it felt at that moment that I had created this.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. If you can see it, you can be it. Do you believe it?
Hi guys, so today I wanted to make a video talking about the time that I manifested a national McDonald's TV commercial. Side note, I tried to make this video like 3 times. I've already started and gotten like 10 minutes in, and then my dad knocked on the door each time, and then before I could even answer, he just burst in. I'm living with my parents right now, if you haven't been following this channel. So yeah, this is just the excitement of living in your parents' house. Let's get into it. So I wanted to make this video talking about how I manifested a national McDonald's TV commercial, but this video isn't just gonna be about how I did this crazy, amazing thing and all the things I did right. There's actually a caveat that happened in this whole experience that I learned a big lesson from, and I'm gonna get into that as well. Let's dive in. Let's rewind back to 2022. This was right at the beginning of the year of 2022. We're coming out of post-COVID, but everyone's still a little bit, you know, intrepid. And at the time, I had just got into sag-aftra, which is the union for actors, maybe about a year prior. This is important because before I was in the union, I had booked other national commercials, but they are paid at a different pay scale. So if you're an actor and you're non-union, you usually get some kind of buyout. And once you're in the union, there's a different pay scale. Usually you get more money because you get paid every time a commercial airs. So that's why it's important. And this comes into play later in the story too. So national commercials that are union are sort of like very coveted for commercial actors because you can often make a lot of money every time it airs. Again, important information for later, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're 2022. This was my mindset at the time. I had just done one of those webinar Zoom programs that my friend had put me in because he was doing it too, and it was like one of those gas you up workshops that's like your dream come true for 2022. It was by Peggy McColl. I was like super hyped up. I'm like, yes, manifest. You know, I was like really deep in learning about Neville Goddard. I had done that pretty much throughout 2021. So I had been doing the SATs, which is state akin to sleep, and it basically just means you fall asleep visualizing a short scene of the thing that you are trying to manifest. I had just moved into a new apartment, and this was my dream apartment, which I also had manifested, and the rent was 3 times higher than the previous place I lived. I was totally in this like, yeah, let's level up kind of mindset. So then I get this audition, and at this time, most auditions were all self-tapes because of the pandemic. Every now and then you would get a live audition on your camera. So like it's like a Zoom essentially. This was one of those. And when you're a commercial actor, you pretty much are doing auditions all the time and you don't really book all of them. So, you know, it's not like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to book each one. Obviously you do your best. But so I get this one, and I actually almost didn't do it because I had a gig that evening, and it was for Shein, which I was actually pretty excited about, you know, because I like fashion clients and they, you know, they dressed me and everything like that. So I didn't want to mess that up. I wanted to make sure I got there on time. But because I looked at the audition time and because it was virtual, I thought, okay, I could just fit it in if I go straight from, I think I was at my studio. I'll just bring my clothes for the audition, change, and then grab all my gear and go. Did the audition, and then I headed to the gig. And by the way, this audition, the role was just, I was a sleeping girlfriend in the early morning. So I was just like, I didn't have any lines, and I just basically just pretended to sleep. And then my scene partner, who was also virtual on Zoom on the other end, just waves a McDonald's bag, and then I wake up to the smell. Not much you can control, like how well or bad can you do this scene, you know? Because I'm fresh off this hype of, you know, being able to visualize and manifest things into reality, and this new year moving into this new apartment, I thought, okay, let me try doing the visualization. So after the audition, I did fall asleep visualizing that I would get a call back. A couple days pass, I don't get any emails, so I started to think, well, maybe I didn't get it, because usually commercials move pretty fast, so you find out pretty soon if you get a call back. But then at the end of the week, I get the email for the callback, and I think, holy shit, this works. Obviously at this point, this could all just be coincidence, but I'm getting a little excited about like, oh, maybe I did something here. I do the callback, which is basically just the same thing again, and my scene partner is the same one that was in the first audition with me. So I feel like, oh, we got it in the bag. I mean, we're just doing the exact same thing, same chemistry, everything, just this time for the client, McDonald's. Then I think, okay, why not? Let's just visualize the next step. I fall asleep visualizing an email that says I got a veil, which means they hold your schedule. So it doesn't mean you necessarily booked it, but it is a good thing, because if you did book it, you always do get an avail before you find out you booked something. I think I was more excited about the fact that I actually visualized each step, and it seemed to be molding into what I was imagining. So then, the next step, let me visualize. And I remember specifically, I visualized getting a booking email from my agent with multiple exclamation marks, because she always would put multiple exclamation marks, which I really loved. Just really fun to see in my inbox. Sometimes it'd be like all caps. So I pictured that like booking, or you're booked, and you know, something with multiple exclamation marks. Okay. And a few more days go by, and I check my email, and I see this email with multiple exclamation marks, and I almost like dropped my jaw, because it felt at that moment that I had created this somehow. At this point, because I had like each step of the way pictured it, it just felt like, whoa. Okay, so here's where things took a turn. So all up to this point, everything is just fun. You know, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm holding it lightly, just playing with the experiment of visualizing and having fun with it. But as soon as I booked, I started to think about what this meant. And I had just moved into this apartment, remember, with 3 times the rent. And even though I did qualify for it based on my income, the 3 months passed. I just got lucky that the 3 months prior were busy months for me. But as a gig-based DJ, I always had like reservations whether I would keep being able to pay for this higher rent. And I had debt, a lot of credit card debt. I, in my head, started thinking, okay, now I booked this, I'm gonna be able to pay off all my debt. So I started to put too much importance on it. And at this time, because it was post-COVID, they would still do this thing where once you're booked, I think there was like 2 weeks, you would have to take like a COVID test, and then you have to make sure you're like COVID free for 2 weeks. So between that time, there was a possibility, like if you came in contact with someone with COVID, that you could lose the role. So I started clenching the thought. I started trying to force it, essentially, and trying to do the visualizations, but they honestly, if I'm honest, looking back, they were forced. Like it was like me like thinking I have to get to this commercial. So I was visualizing shooting it. Now, I did not get COVID, thankfully, and we did shoot it, but I think all that nervous energy resulted in what ended up happening, which is that the commercial never aired on television. It did show on YouTube. I had some friends send me some screenshots that I was in it, but other than that, I don't think it got a whole lot of airplay. So I never got that big check of all the residuals from airtime on television, on broadcast is what they call it. I got paid well, but it's pretty much what I would have gotten paid if I did like a non-union national. In the end, I clenched myself out of the result I wanted because I placed so much importance on it. After we finished shooting the commercial, I would just like check my bank account obsessively for the direct deposit. I would check iSpot.tv to try to see like if the commercial came out. I was like asking my other friends who are commercial actors all about like how long does it take, and I was like kind of like obsessing about it, and that I think is what killed the momentum. Another weird thing that happened was, because I was so obsessing about it and so hyper fixated, I actually saw a bunch of McDonald's commercials when I was at the gym that my friends were in, and there's like one where my friend was in that I saw all the time, and that was actually shot during the same campaign because they shot a bunch of them. So I was like, it's like so close but so far. I wanted to talk about this because something happened along the way when I was trying to force it, and it reminded me of this Neville Goddard lecture. It's from the lecture Our Real Beliefs. This is a lecture by Neville Goddard in 1964, It's one of my favorites because it really perfectly explained what I was going through at this time. At first, I was just having fun visualizing. And then after I booked it, I got this sudden overwhelming feeling that, oh my God, I'm controlling reality. That was my first mistake. I thought, oh my God, I am the sole creator of what happens next. And if I have a wrong thought, as I'm prone to do as an anxious person, everything's gonna go wrong. So I started trying to grab it too hard and trying to control everything, not realizing that yes, we are the creator of our reality, but we are the creator with God. We're co-creating, or the universe, whatever it is that you believe in. There's an energy that connects all of us, and it's not just you doing it. But in this lecture by Neville Goddard called Our Real Beliefs, he talks about a very fun story where a screenwriter, this was in 1964, a screenwriter that's his friend wrote a letter to him saying that when he was testing it out, he tested it out with his producer. Every time he would submit a script, he would picture his producer saying specific words like, great, just great. Because this producer was kind of known for just saying good. Like, he wasn't very expressive. And then he would say, great, just great. And then the next one he would try, okay, let's try a better superlative, terrific. And then the next one, absolutely sensational. He had this daunting realization. He said, this experience greatly disturbed me. Because he said, to hear or to occasionally think about this isn't so bad. Like this idea that we can create our reality. But he said, it distressed me for the simple reason I had to remake my world only as I remake myself. Only as I could remake myself could I in any way remake the world. And what an undertaking. So basically, he's saying he realized he was responsible for each next thing, and it was so overwhelming. And that's kind of the feeling I was having at this point, because it was like a realization that, oh my God, I'm doing this. And that's where I went wrong. So this experience was a really big wake-up call for me, because it's kind of the turning point where I realized we really can create, and there's no limit to what we can do, which was really cool and it was a great feeling. But then B, I realized that trying to place too much importance and grasping it too hard can actually cause things to not go the way you want, because you are trying to force it and you are incorrectly feeling like this is all you, versus getting into a flow and creating with the energy that connects us all. The remedy for this, what I would do differently now, is to first of all remind myself that it's not that serious. So at this time, because as the stakes were getting higher, okay, I was getting the call back, I was getting the avail, I got the booking, and then now the stakes have gotten high in my mind because I think, wow, I can really pay off everything. This is going to change my life. When you start to think like that, it's really easy to fall into the trap of clenching things and trying to force and then missing the flow. But what I would do differently in the future is to, if I find myself feeling that way, just to remind myself it's not that serious. Okay, just have fun with it. What I would also do next is to remind myself that God always has what's best for you in store, and what's best for the collective as a whole. So that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit, because when I was starting to feel overwhelmed, it was feeling like, wow, I have pressure to create the next thing. It's like a God complex you almost have, and you start to feel like, wow, I'm in charge of the whole world, but you're not. I mean, you are and you're not. You're doing it with God. That's helped me a little more, because I do get prone to sort of, as the stakes elevate, things could be going well and then I could self-sabotage. Just remembering to keep that line of communication open with God and walking in faith versus force really helps. I think back to this a lot because I think it was both an example of how manifestation can go right and how you can kind of choke yourself out. So I'm still figuring it out, but I wanted to share that with you guys in case anybody out there is also going through something like that, or has manifested something big and is starting to feel themselves kind of clinging to it. It's just a reminder that you can let go and let God create with you, and just trust that whatever happens is always going to be for the best. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my little story time, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.